Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Nathan Fox. That's Ben Olson. We're the founders of LSATdemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. This one came to us from Elizabeth of LSAT Demon, one of our teachers, Elizabeth.
Oh, great. Hi, Ben and Nathan. Here's a question we got about assumptions. The boiled down question. In what scenarios is it okay to make a stretch? I presented the visualization of a step rather than a leap when dealing with reasonable versus unreasonable assumptions. Okay. And then here's another question. Thank you, Elizabeth. The boiled down question is, should we never assume anything when it comes to the answer choices? I talked about common sense assumptions. For example, icy roads are slippery versus unreasonable leaps.
So we just talked about this on the most recent episode of the Thinking LSAT podcast. That's episode 465. We actually talked about assumptions at length there. I think one important thing to realize is that they're not asking you usually for perfect answers. They're asking you for the best answer. And so if an answer requires you to make an assumption like icy roads are slippery, depending on the context, that could be a totally reasonable assumption to make. But if there's a second best answer, or sorry, if there's a better answer, if there is an opportunity to say, well, wait a second, but maybe we're talking about studded tires, maybe we're talking about a place.
Yeah, really cold and the ice is actually
place where they
really
salt the roads and put gravel on the roads and it's actually more gription when there's ice.
Is that a word?
Well, I'm thinking about like ice climbers, psychos who go out and like climb frozen waterfalls in the winter. Those kinds of people, they actually want it to be frozen because then they can grip their axes into the ice better. So it all just depends on context. I mean, you want the answer that makes the most reasonable assumptions or the least unreasonable assumptions. I guess,
yes.
Ideally, the answer makes no assumptions. But if you don't have an answer...
That's really rare. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have an answer that makes no assumptions at all, then you pick the one that doesn't make huge, ridiculous leaps.
Especially in comparison to the other answer that you are, for whatever reason, contemplating.
Now, it's like you've got to cross the river in one of these 5 spots. Well, which one is the smallest jump?
Yep.
Which one looks like the safest place to cross? So it's absolutely not the case that you should never assume anything when it comes to the answer choices. There are many times where I'm thinking about a paradox question where the correct answer only would explain the paradox in certain circumstance. Like it would explain the paradox if we assume some of these other surrounding facts.
Sure.
Well, okay. Do any of the other 4 answers have anything better? Are they a clearer, easier explanation of the paradox
more
that doesn't
direct
require? Yeah. Do they just directly explain it 100%? If they do, then that's the answer. But if not, then yeah, I mean, you might end up taking this one where it's like, oh, well, this would make perfect sense if we assume something that's not unreasonable to assume.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.